Welcome to the Bridge Church Midweek podcast. We exist to connect people with others and God. We hope this week's episode helps you do just that. Enjoy.
Well, hey, everybody, again, welcome to the Bridge Church Midweek podcast. My name is Tyler Wolf, and I'm one of the pastors on staff. Specifically, I pastor our Oconomowoc campus, but I also get to oversee our missions department, which brings us to today's episode. I'm here with who at Bridge Church we consider heroes.
Wow.
Yeah, we really do. I'm sitting here with a couple missionaries, Greg and Rebecca Campbell. How you guys doing today?
We're doing great.
Good.
A little chilly out here.
Yeah.
A little chilly today, but...
Right. And people are going to really find out what you mean as we figure out where you guys are from. And
Yeah,
all
that's
that.
right.
Yeah. So you guys aren't just... you guys are unique missionaries to us because we're actually really close with you. So would you tell us about what is your history with Bridge Church specifically before you were ever on the mission field?
Well, long ago, many years ago, I actually was born into this church and started in the nursery on Washington Avenue when the little First Assembly of God church was there.
Yeah.
And grew up in this church. So I've been through children's church with Lois Jones, and I was a youth Christ ambassador here, and got married in this church, and just worked really hard. We did everything here, as from starting ministry to children in junior church, 14 years in youth ministry. I mean, we really pretty much did it all. He did other things, though.
Well, I wasn't born... Well, I was born here, but I wasn't born here until 1977.
Sure.
I actually worked with her, and she invited me to an Easter cantata.
Okay.
And I thought, this is kind of a unique way to have Christ presented to you. And after that, I accepted Christ, and we started to come here. And a couple of years later, we were married, and it's kind of like we've just kind of poured ourselves in here. And like she said, we've done pretty much everything. We've spent about 8 or 9 years in youth ministry as youth sponsors, and we spent a couple of years working with Bethany Christian Services because one of their social workers was here, and we were in a small group with her, and they were looking for foster parents to take newborn babies in. Mm-hmm. So we did that for 2.5 years. I think we had 15 or 16 kids go through our... So I guess I'm saying that to say we're just ordinary people. We didn't go to Bible college and receive a call that says, you need to go be trained. We served in our local church here and did whatever God asked us to do.
Yeah.
And I think the bottom line is we just keep saying yes, and God keeps using us.
Yes.
So it's kind of unique that he would call us into missions, because it actually happened at this church in a missions service.
Yeah.
I was upstairs in the sound room, and she was downstairs with the kids in, like the second row or assigned seats, and we had a missionary speaker that day, and on the way home, she looked at me and said, did God say anything to you today in the service? I said, well, matter of fact, he did. He told us, instead of doing these short-term trips into Jamaica and working with somebody else, he's calling us to go full-time. And we both looked at each other, and she said, I heard the exact same things. Wow. So it was kind of a different way to be called. And then now what do? We're just lay people. What do we do? So we began talking to Vern, and we talked to the elders, and, we're not typical Assemblies of God. This is the way the program works. And so we had to kind of find our way a little bit. We applied with some missions organizations, Youth with a Mission,
YWAM. That's
yeah.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So we looked into a couple of those things. Christ for the Nations. How can we get into missions or answer this call? And we continued to do short terms because we got involved. She was on staff here at the Christian Day School and taught beginning to read classes. So she had 4 and 5-year-olds, and another staff member there said, my mother's in Jamaica. She's retired, and she feels she needs to start a school. Can we help her get some curriculum? So she sat down, looked at all the resources that the school was using at the time, and we ordered some curriculum. And said, well, now how are we going to get it down there? So we figured, well, the easiest way for us to get it is to take it in.
Yeah.
And that was our first taste of what it's like to be in the field, not just to hear what it's like.
And I got to tell you, I said I would never, ever go back to Jamaica again because it was such a hair-raising experience, lizards in your bedroom walls, and it was just awful. But God just kept us going year after year building that school, and that was 30 years ago.
Wow.
And then the church knew that we felt called to go, and when the missionary there was passing away, she kind of handed us the school.
Yeah.
And said, do something with this. And that's exactly what we did. This church sent us down there for a year and paid our way.
Wow.
We raised money through Bridge Church, and the people supported us. And we went down for a year, and we actually changed the school to an Assemblies of God school through the program Latin American Child Care.
Picked up the school.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was actually the first non-Latin school. So it was the first one in the Caribbean per se, general. And then they moved into the Dominican and those other areas. But that basically helped sustain it. Now the Assemblies of God had missionaries on the island overseeing it, those kinds of things. So it really flourished.
Yeah.
I think that's so cool. When I hear your story, specifically you, Rebecca, when I go, I was born here. You were a baby in the nursery here, all that. That just really excites me because we never know. Some people think they're just serving in the nursery or serving in preschool.
Right.
You have no idea what that baby's going to do.
That's right.
Where that baby's going to end up. That baby's going to grow up and have the call of God in their life to go into.
That's right.
missions.
Every child has a potential.
Yeah.
Because every child is precious to God, and He has a plan for that little life.
Yeah.
And that's just the way we feel. That's our passion right now. And if we find ourselves in Jamaica really ministering to the children and the young mothers who have these children that have no way of supporting that child. That's really what Sea Glass Ministries is all about. Let's find a way to reach these children and to help these women find their purpose. And because God has a plan for everyone.
Wow. Awesome.
So,
Yeah, well, we're in our 6th year there, and our first couple of years was kind of like we thought this is what we were supposed to do, and we kind of started to develop relationships and try to refine exactly what God wanted us to do there.
Yeah.
And we felt, and we still do feel to this day, that God will prepare for what He has for you. You may not realize it at the time. Jobs that we've had, secular jobs, ministry here at church, serving in whatever capacity, that's all we're doing down there is serving. We're just serving in a different area and answering, a call by just offering ourselves as servants. And
He takes your whole life and all of your experiences, good and bad, and changes it into something for His kingdom and His glory. And you don't even know that going through that, but He's building you for a purpose. And He does that for everyone. Everyone. All they have to do is say yes to God.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So that's some of the history. Now tell me about Sea Glass Ministries. What is new? What is happening? What do you guys are excited about right now in your ministry overseas?
Well, right now, if you're talking about in this moment, we are about to open something we've been working on for 2.5 years, and that's called Hope's House.
Okay.
It's going to be the very first orphanage in St. Thomas. And St. Thomas, Jamaica is the poorest region in all of the island. So there are no industries, there's no tourist attractions in St. Thomas. So the people are usually very, very poor. And so you would think they would have an orphanage because there's a lot of children that are either abandoned at the hospital or some babies are killed, because they cannot take care of them. Not that they don't love them, they cannot take care of them. There's no way. So we have felt God's call to open Hope's House, and for 2.5 years, well, you guys were there and came and helped us open it, set up the cribs, paint the rooms, and all that kind of stuff. And now we've gone through all the red tape and horrible things. And when we go back in the fall, we are ready to open up Hope's House, and we are anxious to rescue these babies and give them a life and give them a purpose, God's purpose, fulfilled in their life.
Wow.
So that's pretty exciting. And we've had so many people that just have come alongside of us and supported us in this endeavor, and it's pretty exciting. We're anxious to get back, but there are things that we have to do here every time we come back. But that's probably the main thing we're really excited about right now. Even though there's other things that we're doing, Hope's House has been our hearts, and we really feel like this is the purpose. There's other things you can always be doing for God, but this is the purpose. And on top of that, we've just hired 18 women and given them jobs to support their own family through Hope's House. So we're fulfilling all the things that God put in our hearts when he called us back after 30 years to just continue doing his work. He said, I'm not done with you yet, and he certainly isn't.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Go ahead.
So continuing, as I said a little earlier, I mean, I think God gives and brings people into your life and gives you experiences that you, in hindsight now, we see where God definitely had his hand in there. And we're seeing things kind of change a little bit. We're developing more relationships with leadership people. And when they found out there's a local retired Jamaican missionary to Africa that we were introduced to, and find out the guy owns all kinds of land in Jamaica. And he said, well, it's always been kind of a dream of mine. He said, I was going to develop this land, and part of the development was going to be like a conference center. But he said, we were also going to put a children's home up here. And he said, I'm getting too old. He said, if you guys are interested in expanding, going beyond opening this infant home, he said, I'll just give you the land.
Wow.
And we went and met with him and visited this piece of property, and we took the bus up on the hill through the rough road and circled them, and we prayed over that land that God would use it for his glory. And in the interim, we feel, okay, this is about to open here. Now we need to say, what's the next step? Do we need to do this? And God put us in touch with an architect, one of the leading architects on the island. And he came out and kind of looked at things and what he got in mind. And so we kind of gave him some ideas on what we thought it needed to be. And then I had to drop the question. I said, I'm not a professional site planner. I need to know what's this going to cost me ultimately. He said, well, I'm not going to charge you a thing.
Wow.
Because he said, I want to be in on what God's doing. So the fact that he's put us in touch with a man who had the same vision that we did and has the resources. So now we've got land. We've got an architect who's done preliminary drawings for us. He's also a project manager. So he'll help us carry the whole thing from beginning to end.
Wow.
And when we left, the last step in our application process, and the application has been in since the end of May, was to have Child Services come out and actually inspect the thing. Now we've had the health department, the fire department, everything, making sure that the premises was correct. And these are the people that they had the social network. They're the ones that we're going to answer to and are going to help us to bring kids in. And they walked out, and they were all senior officials. And they walked in and saw Hope's House and said, this is exactly what we have in mind. We want to get away from this big institution where kids get taken care of, but they go in there and they get lost. And we feel this is a place where they're going to come in and be in somebody's home and be loved and nurtured. Yeah. And that's what God put in our hearts to say now that the government is looking to go the same direction. So we're not sure where the next step is going to go after this. We prayed about it. We feel that God is asking us to, let's get this open, let's get it operating, then let's look at the good parts and the bad parts and make it better and build what we need.
Sure.
But again, God has really opened a lot of doors. Like I said at the beginning, we just keep saying yes.
I love that. Well, now you talk about next steps. More specifically for our folks listening, at Bridge Church we have a discipleship blueprint called Pathway, and it's 7 practices that we saw Jesus doing or commanding that his disciples would do. And one of those things is just being mission-minded. So as we close out our conversation, what would you guys say to those listening who say, man, I want to be more missional in my life, whether they stay put or they go beyond in their location? How would you recommend that people become more missional in their daily discipleship?
I think they just need to, like God led us to do, first of all, be very involved in your church and in your church family, and be aware of one another and one another's needs. And that's where it all starts. And then as you grow in the Lord and you grow in your faith and God leads you, and he might not call you to go, but I would say if you get an opportunity to go, you will never be the same, and you'll never be sorry that you took that step of faith to do something outside of your comfort zone, and to be involved with people in a different area that might not look like you or think like you, but we all have a heart, and we all need Jesus. And once you become involved in something like that, you're just never the same. You see things completely different, and that is something you want in your life, you need in your life, to see things differently, the way that God sees things and his perspective. There's a whole world out there that needs Jesus, and you just have to say, yes, I'm going to be a part of that.
I love it.
Yeah. Awesome. How can I build on that? I kind of feel the same way. Your mission field is wherever God puts you, your field of influence, so to speak. Whether it's on the job or it's taking care of a baby in the nursery at the church. You never know the impact of you pouring yourself into somebody else is going to have, and God is going to use that. So that's what we do. We just continue to say yes. We pour ourselves into whatever God, whatever appointment He makes for us, and we use that opportunity. That's why I kind of really like the platform of Kingdom Builders. One of the points was to, give every young person a chance to go into the field. Yep. Because that's when we really kind of got our call. We were out there doing this, and like she said, the first time we walked in there, I can't do this, and, sure, we'll go after we receive their call. Sure, we'll go, but we're definitely not going to Jamaica because she doesn't want to be there. But God unfolded things in a way that, okay, if that's what you want me to do, I'll go there. If you want me to stop and talk to this person in the checkout line at the grocery store, I'll do that. Just continue to say yes. If God asks you to do something, regardless of the impact you think it's going to have, say yes. Yeah. And go with it.
You might even think something didn't happen in that conversation, or you might feel like you failed in that particular ministry because you saw no fruit of it. But I'm telling you, there's people that you're touching, whether you know it or not, because God takes everything that we do and uses it for His glory and His kingdom. And so you just keep doing what He puts in your heart to do.
All right. Well, before we close this out, any closing thoughts from you guys?
Some of the things that we've talked about, taking the opportunity to visit the field, with a missions trip or that kind of thing. We're retired, and God is still using us there, but we really feel like we would like to have an opportunity for somebody to visit. If they think that they would like to serve, in the mission field, in a foreign field, contact us, and we'll see if we can find a place for you to fit in. whether it be helping us set up a team that's coming down, or coming and holding babies, and really just being a part of another culture and to see how it works.
Sure.
For the cross-cultural thing. But I would say if you're interested, contact us through our website, seaglassministries.com, and you can either email us or send us a note through the website, and that'll give you a little bit more information. I mean, we talked about a few things that we're doing and where we're at right now, but it also talks about the things that we're still involved in, and if somebody would like to come down and see how that really happens. And again, you've heard our story today that we're just saying yes. So if you feel God is prompting you for some kind of a call and you want to check it out, we're a safe place to check it out.
Yeah.
It's easy to get in and out of Jamaica. It's nice if you want to visit in January and February.
Yeah.
Don't come in the summer.
Yeah, don't come in the summer. But that opportunity, I think, is available to somebody if they really want to feel it out. And we were given an opportunity to visit. And that's when God gave us a strong missions heart, not just to serve in our local body, but to serve in another culture.
Yeah.
So
I love that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.